Welcome to the first season of the Is the Planet Doomed podcast. This is a project produced by the students of a course with the same name in the Department of Geography at Colgate University. By unpacking some of the world's most pressing and complex problems, the episodes in this podcast help answer the question, well, are we doomed? In this episode, Owen Callahan explores how the residents of a poor neighborhood in Cape Town cope with increased insecurity.
It's a typical day in Khayelitsha as men, women, and children stroll throughout the slum. As the sun beats down on the slum, screams are cast out for all to hear. Yet, no one is fazed. Just around the corner, a man is being brutally beaten and stoned. Even police hear the blood-curdling screams. But lunch? It's just too important. The man being beaten allegedly stole the phone of a pregnant woman, and now the townspeople have chose to take matters into their own hands. This is a regular occurrence here in Khayelitsha. The apartheid system of governance in South Africa was said to be dismissed by the 1990s. Yet, the neglect of this disenfranchised and colored community shows that apartheid still lingers. The government posed Khayelitsha as a simple policy change to better aid these people, yet in actuality, it was an apartheid response. This township was formally created with the intent of housing 120,000 residents. These promises were met with neglect. Now, Khayelitsha is believed to house over 500,000 people in shacks built by its own residents. And Khayelitsha residents agree that the living conditions in these shacks are simply abhorrent.
It's a lot of problems to live in the shack. You are not feeling comfortable. You are not feeling safe. If you have a shack, while it's raining, the rain can go in your shack. You are at work, you come back, then you come on your bed, you want to sleep at night. It's wet. The rain has wet your bed. And the fire. When one shack burns at the other side, you must be definitely sure it comes to you straight.
That was Mildred McQuath, a Khayelitsha resident. McQuath highlights how living in shacks is inhumane and even extremely dangerous. The proper governmental housing promised to this colored community has simply never been seen. Instead, these people are forced to build their own shelters right on top of one another. Yes, building thousands of housing developments is something extremely difficult to do. But the complete neglect of Khayelitsha by the South African government shows that these apartheid values still linger. The government continues to promise improvements, but shows no actual signs of aiding Khayelitsha. Even the residents' cry for simple things like sanitation and toilets hasn't been sought to, as Gova describes.
My name is Siwe Gova. I stay in Khayelitsha, Site B, S section. I am a learner at COSAT. One thing I do not like about the way people are living here, due to lack of sanitation, is that people are forced to use buckets. Others are left with no option but to walk a long distance.
Siwe Gova lives in Khayelitsha and is a student at the Center of Science and Technology in Khayelitsha. She is doing a project to highlight the major issue of sanitation in her home. It has emphasized how toilets specifically are a major issue to Khayelitsha, as people are forced to walk extremely long distances or even use buckets. Although the government may say they condensed the slums outside of Cape Town into Khayelitsha to better address their issues, this is evidently not the case. Like Siwe Gova, hundreds of thousands of people throughout Khayelitsha do not only have to deal with the beaten-down shacks they live in, but also the lack of aid provided to their community as a whole. It is clear that people in Khayelitsha have simply given up on government intervention. The constant essence of apartheid tears all trust away from the government. This neglect is even worse in relation to crime. Khayelitsha is infamous for incredibly high crime rate and has even been dubbed the murder capital of South Africa.
The community of Khayelitsha and civil society have laid the blame on two factors for their predicament: the lack of adequate police resources and the police indifference in responding to their concerns.
That was Ashraf Garda. He is a host of the Investigative Current Affairs program led by the Special Assignment. Garda uncovers the fact that the lack of governmental concern for Khayelitsha is even worse than the public knows. The South African government continues to be rooted in wealth and race. With an incredible lack of governmental intervention converging with the lack of education and work opportunities, crime has run rampant. The only way to curtail such crime for the people of Khayelitsha has been community justice. For stealing that pregnant woman's phone, a Khayelitsha resident, Isaac Umberto, witnessed this very community justice firsthand.
This guy was being catched by the community when they started to beat him up. He ran into this yard here, and that's when they also stoned him as well.
With an increasingly young population with little to occupy their time, this community justice has turned for the worst. Due to the climate of Khayelitsha, gangs have been developed. In recent years, their crime has continued to escalate from petty crime by single individuals to aggravated assault and murder led by gangs. A young Khayelitsha resident describes how gangs have even prevented him from attending school.
This gang thing is not new. I was stabbed and spent 8 months in hospital. I gave up on school because each time when I went back there, the gangs would go looking for us at school again.
It is often described that the way to fix an issue is through education. Yet in Khayelitsha, even this is not possible. And education is out of the picture for almost all residents in Khayelitsha. This is because gangs actively prevent students from attending school with the intention of creating more distrust in the government and ultimately bringing in more members to their gang. The gangs have run rampant with drug use and continually wage violence in the streets over control of certain areas. It is because of this increase in such violence and the lack of police intervention that Khayelitsha has become highlighted by the global community as a place that is in desperate need of government intervention. Although the community justice no longer has the strength to keep the streets of Khayelitsha safe, the community does have a strong ability to create change. In recent years, the community of Khayelitsha has developed groups such as the Social Justice Coalition, SJC, and the Informal Settlement Network, ISN. The goal of these organizations is to provide a voice to the seemingly voiceless people of Khayelitsha. The SJC and the ISN are leading peaceful protests and bringing the issues of Khayelitsha to the government of South Africa for all to see.
Never before has the community and civil society, of course, used our constitution to hold the police to account in this manner. Now, the Social Justice Coalition must be very pleased today. They've been one of the driving forces behind this.
That was an SABC News report. Vanessa Puna, the South African news anchor, reports that this cry for justice by Khayelitsha has finally been heard. It has led to the formation of the Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry. In this commission, the South African Parliament is reviewing the complaints about sanitation and policing in Khayelitsha. In the wake of this commission, the government realized that the provincial executives were to blame for such poor policing and aid. The government decided to put it in the hands of national powers in order to start building relationships with this community once again and actually take action to rebuild this community. It is clear that Khayelitsha residents, such as Marie Matthews, are very happy about this.
It wasn't easy, but everything doesn't come easy. We waited years and years, nothing happened, until we changed the people's mindset. It's like they say, true love travels on a gravel road. So we traveled this gravel road. Now it's running smooth. It's not that smooth, but it's coming to it.
Although the issues of Khayelitsha won't be fixed overnight, the community finds great joy in the voice it has created to make a change. Without this call to action, it is unsure whether Khayelitsha would have ever been able to fully put an end to this lingering essence of apartheid and receive the aid it needs. Now, the government is actually following through with its plans to upgrade settlements in Khayelitsha. As well, the government has begun to slowly rebuild its relationships with the community. This relationship building allows the community to once again trust the police and start to utilize them more in times of need. The slum may not be fully transformed for many years to come, but what is to be learned is how coming together can create a voice for a community. One can hope that poverty-stricken communities and slums throughout the world can view the events of Khayelitsha and follow in their footsteps. No longer should these communities remain waiting for what they've been promised. When these communities begin to create a voice and hold their governments accountable under their own laws, justice will be found. For Colgate University, I'm Owen Callahan.